So today I am going to be talking about the series that I am actively trying to finish. I am in the middle of a lot of series. The other day I went through my Goodreads and totaled it up, and it was somewhere between like 50 and 60 series that I'm in the middle of. A lot of these series are series I'm not planning on finishing, and that will be another video that I'm going to do. But today I would like to talk about the series that I am planning on or trying to finish. These are series that I am partway or midway through. Some series I've only read one book in, but they're series that I would like to continue on with the series and see it to completion. I am a little bit of a completionist. I like to have everything in a series read, but I'm really bad at doing it. One of my goals this year is to finish some series that I have started. I did list some series in my Goals of 2019 video, so I'll link that up here in case you're interested in checking it out. However, I did also list some series that I haven't yet started in that video. So these are going to be the series that I want to focus on that I'm actively reading, and I'll kind of tell you if I have current reading plans for them or if it's just something I want to get to in the near-ish future. So the first series is the Grisha Trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I have been actively reading this series this year. I have read one out of the 3 books, however I am currently reading Siege and Storm this month. I'm hoping in the next month or so to have that series finished up. The next series I would like to focus on is the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I have read 1 out of the 4 books in this series. I'm not counting novellas or short stories for any series. However, I will probably read at least Fairest for the Lunar Chronicles since it came with my box set, and I've heard people say that it's actually quite helpful information. So out of the 4 main books though, however, I have read just Cinder. This is the next series kind of up on my to read after I finish the Grisha Trilogy. The next series that I've started is the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. I am only counting this as Era 1, so I'm counting this as the first trilogy since I haven't started Era 2 yet, and I have read the first out of the 3 Mistborn books in the trilogy, and I am going to be reading those this year with the Cosmere read-along. Next up we have the Illuminae Files by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is a trilogy of 3 books that I have read the first 2. I still need to read Obsidio, and I'm hoping to read it very soon. We have the Villains series by V.E. Schwab, which is Vicious, and then its sequel, Vengeful. I read Vicious at the beginning of the year, and hopefully I will make some time to read Vengeful at some point this year. I gave Vicious 4 stars. I liked it, but I didn't love it like some other people did, so it's been making me kind of put off reading Vengeful. Next up is the Winternight Trilogy by Catherine Arden. I have read the first of 3 books, the first of which being The Bear and the Nightingale. I just started this series this year, and even though it's one of my newer series on my list, I would like to get it finished up sometime this year. So the next books that I'm going to talk about are my first uncompleted series. So these are series that I'm reading that are still in the process of being written. First up we have the Thanatos Trilogy by Tiffany Hackett. These are self-published books that I read the first in the trilogy. Tiffany is currently writing Ventus, the second book in the trilogy. It does not have a release date yet as far as I know, but I look forward to reading it when it comes out. Going along with the self-published books, we have the Elite Trials by Becky Moynihan. This is another trilogy that is not yet completed. I read Reactive at the beginning of this year, and Becky is currently working on writing Adaptive, which is the second book, and I look forward to reading it when it comes out. The last unfinished series on my list is the Ember and the Ashes Quartet by Saba Tahir. I have read the first book and I started the second book, but I haven't yet finished it. There are going to be 4 books total, with 3 of them currently released. I'm not quite sure when the 4th book is coming out. It was supposed to be out in April, but the publication date has been pushed back. This is one that I would like to get to, but I might just wait till the final book is out and then read the second and third ones then. So going back to finished series, next up we have the Throne of Glass series. I have read books 1 through 4 in this series. I got halfway through book 5 and I kind of just stopped there. So I still have to finish Empire of Storms. I need to read Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash, and I also have not read The Assassin's Blade, which is the prequel novellas that are bound up into a full book. I have heard that they are pretty important and that you should read them first. However, I haven't read them, and I'm probably going to read the series and then read them at the end. The next series on my list is The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I started this series ages ago. I actually read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for school in like 5th grade, and I read the first 4 books. I know there's some conflicting views on how you should read the books, but the books in this series that I have read are The Magician's Nephew, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Horse and His Boy, and Prince Caspian. And I got partway through The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, but never finished it. So, I would like to finish out this series, however, I think I'm going to need to do a whole reread of this series. I don't know when that's coming, but I would like to do it at some point. Next up we have the Percy Jackson series. So, I read the first book in this series when I was in middle school, high school maybe. They were my brother's favorite books. In fact, I think they might be the only series of books he's ever read. And I wanted to love them because he loved them, but I never could really get into them. I decided last year that I was going to try and reread through the whole Percy Jackson series, just the original, which is 5 books. I made it through the 3rd one, but I haven't gotten any further. I do want to finish out the series just to see where it goes because I'm interested in the characters and I like them. However, I just can't seem to find the time or the want to pick them up recently. So I'd like to finish them at some point just to say that I finished the series and I know where the series goes and what all the hype is about. Next up we have the Daughter of Smoke and Bone Trilogy by Laini Taylor. I read the first book in this series last year in January and I loved it. I read it in one sitting and I haven't picked up the rest of the series since. It is a friend of mine's favorite series and Laini Taylor is her favorite author, and because of that I'd really like to finish out the series. I liked the first one. However, I am a little unsure of how the series ended and where it took a turn, and I think that makes me wary of reading the next books. So it's one that I would like to continue on with. If you want to let me know your thoughts on the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy and if I should read it, let me know down below. Next up, we have A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. I have been re-energized to read these books thanks to the TV show on Netflix, which I love. I always really liked these books in middle school when I read them. However, I only made it through like the 6th novel and then I never continued on. So there are 13 books in this series. I would like to do a reread of the ones I've read and then continue on with the series. In fact, last year I reread the first book, The Bad Beginning, but it didn't hold my interest enough to keep me going with the series, but it is something that I'd like to try and fit in at some point. Next up we have the Rebel in the Sands trilogy by Alwyn Hamilton. I read the first book in this series 2 years ago and I really liked it, but I haven't gotten back to it. I think part of it is because I can't find the matching covers to the one I own, so I don't want to buy them, but I should just get them from the library because then I could read them and see if I like them, see if they're worth trying to find the matching covers for. Next up we have the Trouble series by Stephanie Tromley. I read the first book of this for the Owl Crate Readathon last year and I really liked it. There are 3 books in this series and I have read the first one. I am also technically currently reading the Stormlight Archives. I just started the first book last month, which is The Way of Kings. I really enjoyed it and hopefully we'll be reading the rest of this for the Cosmere read-along. Finally, we have the Sherlock Holmes series by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. There are 8 books in this series, and I have read the first one, A Study in Scarlet. I do have the cloth-bound classics edition of these books, which I got for Christmas, and so I'm excited to have them so I can read my own physical copies. The set I have is 6 books, and 2 of them are a bind-up of 2 books, so 8 books total. I would like to read these as some of my classics throughout the year this year, and so hopefully that will be something I can do. So those are all the series I am actively reading. Let me know which of these series you guys have read down below and which ones I should prioritize. I kind of listed them in a somewhat priority order, however, that could definitely change. The top 3 that I mentioned are probably the ones that I'm going to read next up. Let me know what your thoughts are, what you guys have read down below, and what series you guys are in the middle of reading.